Yeah, he basically left his brother to die. I'm Neil Christensen, author of Dark White and Malcolm Karma Cold Turkey, and welcome back to my sporadic series, I'm reading House of Leaves, so you don't have to. Today we're covering Chapter 12. When Navidson and Reston finally reach the foot of the stairway, Tom is not there. You'll recall that at the end of Chapter 11, Tom tried to go down the stairs as his brother asked him to, but his fear overcame him, and he called in to Karen and told her that he was leaving and coming back into the house. Now Will Navidson and Billy Reston are finally back at the stairs carrying Jed and Wax with them. Reston, being in a wheelchair, can't help Will get the two of them up the stairs, and Tom is not there to help. Will is furious with his brother. "I shouldn't be surprised," he says. "This is Tom. This is what Tom does best. He lets you down." But to all our surprise, Tom has, in fact, not let them down. Just as Will is lamenting Tom's absence, a rope drops down the center of the spiral staircase and slaps on the floor. See, Tom, realizing that he wouldn't have the fortitude to go down the steps, has done the next best thing, or perhaps even one better. He went back into the house and got supplies to build an elevator, boards to make a gurney, and a rope and pulley. Will and Reston immediately understand what he's done and load Wax onto the makeshift gurney. Will starts pulling his end of the rope through the pulley, and the gurney slowly moves up the 100-foot drop. At the top, Tom gets Wax off safely, then drops a quarter down the hole to let Will and Billy know that he's gotten him. Will then slowly releases the rope, lowering the gurney back down. Jed goes up next, and Tom repeats the process, dropping a quarter as soon as Jed is safe. Next is Billy Reston. The same process, but when Billy is halfway up the stairs, the rope starts pulling through Will's hands so fast that it burns his palms. But the gurney doesn't fall. It moves up and away from Will at a frightening speed. This is when Will realizes what is happening. The staircase is expanding again. He won't have enough rope to get Billy to the top. Will is tied off the end of the rope to the banister to prevent the gurney from falling, but it won't miraculously give him extra rope to get the elevator up the extra distance, or back down to him. Then the unthinkable. He runs out of rope. The rope snaps off the banister. Billy is going to fall. Meanwhile, Johnny is deteriorating. Time is accelerating for him. After leaving work last chapter to go home and get his shit together, he finds it in himself to go back to the shop. Everyone is shocked to see him. His boss tells him with genuine concern that he's been gone for 3 weeks without contact and that they had to replace him. Johnny, shocked at that time frame, takes this well enough. He's more concerned with the accelerated passage of time than he is losing his job. On his way back to his apartment, he has a revelation. Editorial moment. This is one of those moments in this book when you can really appreciate the author's skill at laying out the breadcrumbs and building this story slowly. This revelation that Johnny has is in regards to a girl named Ashley. Now, I'm not even sure that I've mentioned Ashley before in this series because when she has been mentioned, it has been in passing or buried in another story where she didn't seem all that relevant to the plot. In fact, I recognized the name and reference, but couldn't put my finger on who she was or when it had been mentioned. Luckily, House of Leaves has an index. Ashley has been mentioned 6 times previously, and appears to be mentioned 2 more times in the book. The long and the short of it is that she's a girl that left a message on his machine a while ago, saying that they'd met before and she wanted to get together. When he goes to see her, he doesn't remember her, but they end up sleeping together in one of the more sweet and romantic hookups that Johnny describes. At the end of the encounter, she recognizes that he doesn't remember her, and she tells him that they met years ago at Texas. But nothing happened, and she's always wondered about what might have been. Now she's getting married and wanted to settle that unfinished business in her mind. Johnny appreciates the sentiment, but tells her, I've never been to Texas. So the revelation he has is that he has been to Texas, but no, not the state. She didn't say that they met in Texas, but at Texas. Tex was some rich guy that was having a party that one of Johnny's friends was invited to. This friend invited Johnny to go along and then bailed at the last minute, leaving Johnny at this stranger's party all by himself. Johnny then goes on to tell a very long and convoluted and unrelated story about a boat sinking that is supposed to be a metaphor for what happened with Ashley, who he met at the party and quickly developed feelings for, but never did anything and never saw again. His revelation is that he now remembers who Ashley is, who she was, what she meant to him, and that once again, he has lost her from his life, this time for good. Back with Will, Tom, and Billy, we find that even though the rope broke, Billy and the gurney don't seem to be falling back down. Will waits for the inevitable crash of his friend on the cement floor, but it never comes. After an hour of waiting, finally something does hit the ground. A quarter. Will's initial reaction is relief that his friend made it to the top safely, but is quickly crushed by the fact that that means the quarter has been falling down the hole for almost an hour. Doing the math on the speed of a quarter in free fall and the time from the top to the bottom, Zampano determines that the stairs now ascend 27,273 miles. Johnny notes that he thinks this math is slightly off, but never takes the time to fix it. Regardless of the exact number, the point is still clear. Will is never going to be able to get back to the top. This was a masterfully written chapter. I mean, the book itself is a masterpiece, but this chapter in particular, between the way it gave the reveal in Johnny's story to the way that it built the tension of the rescue, I mean, this chapter was the highlight of the book for me. Not a lot more to say in terms of analysis of it, but yeah, that's chapter 12, and I'll be right back with chapter 13.